Okay, welcome to RPGRules. So this first tutorial we're just going to set up our workspace and make a character with some powers that don't do things, which is sort of the backbone of this system. So we'll kick off just opening up a few helper windows here. So we have the assistant window, which we're not going to do much with today. It's good for just helping you out and finding problems. The character window is the main focus of this tutorial. That's got tools for creating new characters, creating new powers for them, just to make it easier. And we'll open up the history window, which will dock above the inspector. Not there, but there. So it gets updated at all times, and that's like a browser history back button for your inspector, really. Right, we'll go to RPGRules, scenes, and open up the training room, which is just a nice playground for messing around with characters. And we will drop the third person scene in there additively. So RPGRules has this idea that the missions of levels, or whatever you want to call them, go in one scene with all the physical props, the gameplay triggers, that kind of thing. And then the UI goes in a separate scene. And this means you can drop different UIs, like the third person one or the tactical overhead one or whatever, onto the same mission, and it should all work. So we've got a training room there. Let's go and make a character. So we'll create a folder, call it characters. In that folder, now we've got assets characters as our working folder. We'll select male basic. And we're going to make a character called Rainbow Guy. Here we go, clone male basic, thinks for a little bit and makes a folder. And we've got a portrait image, a material and texture for his skin, and a very monochromatic looking prefab there for Rainbow Guy with all the right components on him. Normally it, say go into Photoshop and do a skin here, won't make you look at that right now. We'll just go show an explorer rather than watch me mess around in Photoshop. And here's some which I made earlier. So we'll just copy this skin and this portrait over into this folder here. Replace. Take them back down there. And yeah, when we click on Unity again now, he's got a rainbow costume. In the portrait, I've given him dreads. We can do that in game fairly easily. Just close up the character window, have one accessory, and we'll just type in dreads, hair dreads, and we'll make it dreads, hair dreads there. Apply accessories, press that button. So there is sort of a basic accessory system just for clipping extra meshes onto characters. It's no UMA or anything, but it helps sort of get the job done, give the characters hair and basic things like that. Right, so we've got Rainbow Guy set up as a character. We'll go back to the training room, and in this player spawn here, we will drag Rainbow Guy in there. So you can't just drag prefabs for your player characters in, they have to go into a character spawner so it can hook them up with the UI correctly. And we should be able to run him now. So if we, yep, here he is, we've got Rainbow Guy with his portrait, can run around, can jump, can target various characters, tab target in there with that yellow ring, but he's got no powers, so there's not a lot he can do at the moment. So let's fix that. Here in his folder, make sure the working folder's set. Sometimes you just have to duck in and out of that. We're going to create a power. We're going to base it on Bolt. A simple bread and butter projectile, and we'll call this Red Ray. This first of his powers. He's going to have 7 of them. So we'll just clone Bolt there, and it's made a power called Red Ray for us. The only way I'm going to change that is to make it actually red right now. So we've got a number of pre-canned tints here we can apply to powers for consistent visual language. I happen to know health's the red one. And we'll select Rainbow Guy's prefab, and in his character script here, we're going to give him active powers. We'll give him 1, and we'll just drag the red ray into there. So that's his 1 power for now. No passives. Character name, we'll just put something in there in the description, Prismatic Warrior. And this, we can leave his stats alone for now, and body parts we'll cover in a later tutorial. So we're now ready to play with Rainbow Guy and his red ray. So we can target that robot. We've got a red ray there, does 5 to 10 energy damage. Pressing 1, it fires off this projectile that you can see is sort of travelling across the world to hit the robot and doing some visual effects and noises and so on. So yeah, it's a good start. Now, it wouldn't be much of an RPG system if all we did was have damage. We also have an array of status effects here. This one's got an empty status effect from the cloning process, for reasons we'll cover later with power sets. But what we could do for now is give the red ray something else to do. We could give it flames. So flames, if we have a look at that, is a damage over time. It has a visual effect, some flames effects it puts on the target's root. A little orange icon will appear in the HUD settings, and it does 3 fire damage every 1 second, like the tooltip says. So if we play now, we should see that the red ray sets the robot on fire when we use it. Here we go. Yep, it's visibly on fire. You can see 3 damage being done every second. It lasted for 5 seconds. If we do that again, we can see a little status icon counting down on the robot's bar there. Not bad. And we can actually have multiple instances of the flames ticking away at once there. Okay, so we're in this Fire Blast Powers folder here. We'll just go back to Rainbow Guy, back to the correct folder, so our working folder is correct again, and we'll go and make a beam now. So we'll take the beam power, which is a bread and butter beam attack, and we're going to make an orange ray with a few more options. Clone beam, orange ray. We will make it orange. That's radiation, I happen to know that. And we'll give it to Rainbow Guy. So we'll say you've got 2 powers now, red ray and orange ray. Let's have a look at what that does. So unlike projectiles, where they spawn a separate object to travel across the world, a beam just uses a line renderer and sort of it travels across the screen fairly quickly to the target and has similar visual effects and so on. Let's make this beam a bit more interesting. So select the orange ray. We can see it does 10 energy damage, has no cooldown, range of 20, it roots the target, does energy damage, targets enemies. Yeah, it's an instant power. We could make it a maintain. So that means we can keep the button held down for up to 3 seconds. It's going to cost us an extra 30 energy to do so. And every half second it's going to do damage now. 5 damage on the first tick, ramping up to 10 damage on the final tick. So these numbers mean it's actually going to do a lot more damage than just a single tap one did now. We'll make it, every tick will do the status effect, and we'll give it a different status effect. We'll give it repel, so that it pushes the robot away. There we go. And we'll say that will only last for 2 seconds of push, but it's going to be applying it every half a second. Yep. So that's, yeah, if we have a quick look at red ray, you can see that that did flames that lasted for 5 seconds. So with our new orange ray, let's see how that behaves. We can now orange ray, do your thing, and you can see it's pushing the robot away repeatedly. Now if you have a look up here at Rainbow Guy's HUD, when I do that again, you can see it's got a blue bar of energy, which is 100, and this bar below has got a yellow thing that'll fill up, which is the charge bar, and that'll drain down while we're maintaining this power. There you go. and you can see his energy sort of ticking away. One thing I'd like to be able to do is, once I'm doing this, I can't actually move. It'd be good to be able to move around and push the robot about. So in our orange ray, we just go to routing here and untick that. So it doesn't route him while he's using the beam anymore, but it can do the upper body animation to target the robot and run around with his lower body still. Here we go. Moving around. Try to get around the other side of the robot to target it. Yeah. Yep. So that's very basic things with setting up a couple of powers there. Just to recap this tutorial. The character window lets us create a character from a template really easily, and makes a folder for them with all the skins and everything linked up in the right way. The power creation section here, we've got a whole bunch of powers we can use as templates, which is stored in a template folder, and we can clone them to make powers for our character. In the inspector, we've got all this information here about a screen's worth for the red ray and the orange ray. I've just here pointed out that when our character's been selected, we've got these little icons here that allow you to select the different powers they have, or select the main character again. And powers can come in varieties like projectiles or beams, and the powers can do different status effects like repel or damage over time, and those status effects have visual effects of their own as well as the power's visual effects here. So yeah, it's a matter of making a character, giving that character an array of powers, giving those powers status effects to do stuff. And we'll go into this in more depth in the next tutorial.